right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you with the one and only Gundacker as we get ready for a little Sunday baseball. Not much for the afternoon slates. All of the Southern California games moved to doubleheaders yesterday in advance of Hurricane Hillary. So we are looking at a pretty light slate, but you do have the Washington Nationals hosting the Philadelphia Phillies for our evening entertainment. Gun, how have you been? It's been a hot minute here.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks, right? Not as long as the last break, but a couple weeks, little Sunday afternoon. It's very freaking hot, EMac. Every day in Texas, we're basically breaking all-time highs in temperature, and it's not fun, especially when you're me. So I always carry a towel because it gets sweaty.
Yeah, I'm down here in Florida. I'll be driving back up to Virginia tomorrow, but man, I went outside yesterday or 2 days ago. We were sitting under the parking garage, putting together a big plastic storage case, and just soaked in sweat. And not just the humidity is. I mean, it's humid in Virginia. Nothing like this, though. Nothing like this. It's pretty crazy.
Florida's different, man. Yeah, it's the worst.
All righty. Well, let's jump on in here. We've got quite a few games or lineups in already. No weather concerns. Everything is looking pretty good out there. And let me get to the lineups page here. Looks like we're still waiting on San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and that is it. We just got Milwaukee's lineup in. So we're going to jump on in here. We do have an earlier start time. It's a 1:05 today. Next week will be a 1:35, so that's why we're coming here a little earlier on our show. But thank you all for coming in here. Glad to see everybody. Hit that like button if you can. Helps us out, and it improves your fantasy production as well for your players. So let's do that. And then also, we just crossed over 89,000 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. Pretty cool. We have 4 overall YouTube channels here under the Stochastic umbrella, including Odd Shopper and Odd Shopper Golf, Fantasy Football for Stochastic, and then the Stochastic channel. So this is a lot of fun, bringing you guys all sorts of content. We also have our podcast network, so check that out. And if you leave a 5-star review, there's a drawing once a week that will get you some free Stochastic content. All right, Gun, we've got our first game here. We have the Seattle Mariners in Houston taking on I almost said Texans because we're thinking about football, taking on the Astros here. Going for the Mariners is rookie pitcher. Let me get back to my notes. Emerson Hancock. This will be his 3rd start in the show. He had not pitched above AA prior to this season. He was the 6th overall selection in the 2020 MLB draft. And scouts really like his secondary pitches. He does not have a good fastball, which is going to be a challenge here. We've got some impressive stuff going on in Houston's lineup. You think Yordan Alvarez is good with this season, 290 ISO, 400 WOBA. Well, rookie Yanier Diaz basically has similar numbers. Gun. It's pretty wild. The rich keep getting richer. What do you want to do here? Because we didn't even mention Hunter Brown, who's probably one of the top 3 pitchers on the day. The slate is yours, my friend.
Yeah, so Emerson Hancock, you mentioned in the minors, looked pretty doggone good. 241 innings in his minor league career, 242 strikeouts. So more than a strikeout per inning. We haven't really seen that in the major league level. Just an 8% overall swing and strike rate from the first 2 games, 11.5% from the Padres game, almost 4% in the second game. And Houston's not really a team we go after a ton for strikeouts anyway. Today's version of the lineup does have about 4 guys that will strike out an aggregate of 1 and 4, but everybody else really, really dangerous. Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, and then you mentioned Diaz. All those guys, they're dangerous and have incredibly high ISOs, and the Alvarez-Diaz portion of that also incredibly high barrel rate. So if Hancock's not going to find the ability to miss some bats, he might have a bad time. He has kept that barrel rate low, but right now it's just such a short sample size that everything doesn't add up yet. But long story short, if you don't miss bats in the major league level, especially against a talented team like the Astros, it may not go great. 5,500, I get it if you want to back pocket that and hope for 3x. I don't think I'm going to be there today. Hunter Brown on the other side, though, does look somewhat appealing to me. If you can get past his elevated whip and for this season, his high barrel rate and his high ERA, it is a great strikeout matchup. Mariners on the season against righties, almost a 26% strikeout rate. And their lineup today, J-Rod, Eugenio Suarez, Teoscar Hernandez, Mike Ford, Dylan Moore, Ryan O'Keefe. I mean, these are some big-time strikeout rates, and Hunter Brown sustained a 26.5% K rate on the season. So the swing and miss potential is certainly there for him. If we look at our top pitchers tool, the Hunter Brown is listed as our 23% chance of being a top 2 optimal pitcher on DraftKings today, 34% ownership. So it's not going to be a secret. It's going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate. Maybe we leverage that just to say we did it. He's about 11% negatively leveraged in those metrics, but the matchup absolutely makes a lot of sense. So I think just the fact that he's 34% owned, I'll have 2-3% Mariner stacks in my back pocket. But this is a 3-corner spot for me. I think I would go Hunter Brown 1, Astros 2. And then Mariners just as pure leverage. I'm not really feeling a need to get to Hancock. Maybe a different slate, a little bit more sneaky, but probably not today.
Yes, considering we don't have Coors Field, that makes it a little more easy. We do have the Atlanta Braves in a phenomenal spot, so they are the team we're looking to pay up for. So we'll talk about them because they are our next game up. The other thing about Hunter Brown, he is $35 on Yahoo. I'm building out my one Yahoo lineup today. Of course, they go from lock all the way through Sunday Night Baseball, so it's a little bit different. So I've got Brown and Wheeler is going to be my pitcher. We won't be talking about Zach Wheeler, but he's going against the Nationals tonight. So those look like 2 of the better pitchers. The other thing to remember is this Mariners lineup is bad on the back part. Jared Kelenic, he injured himself in throwing a tantrum, so he's still out. No Cal Raleigh today. But the back of their lineup, I mean, Dominic Canzone, Dylan Moore. Dylan Moore's supposed to play against lefties, not righties. Josh Rojas couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And then Brian O'Keefe, the backup catcher. These guys are not daunting at all. I was looking at Logan Allen to be my kind of best point per dollar pitcher, but I've moved it over to Hunter Brown at this point. Obviously, the rest of the field is there. Final notes for this game: Julio Rodriguez, 17 hits in his last 4 games. Gun 4 straight games.
Oh wait, we're doing that, EMac? Come on,
that is amazing. That is amazing. I can't even fathom that, but here we are.
Sample size matters, but let's make small sample sizes to fit some narrative.
What? It's an MLB record here. It's an MLB record. Let's go on to our next game here. We do not have the San Francisco Giants lineup. That is the last one we were waiting for. We just got Pittsburgh. So we've got Jake Junis going against the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta countering with Max Fried. Fried also looking like a pretty decent pitcher. He's had an up and down season, but this lineup is not exactly terrifying from the Giants. They will run out as many right-handed hitters as they possibly can, but those guys could be pinch hit for relatively quickly once Fried leaves the game. And a righty likely comes in from the bullpen. So I'm not that worried about Austin Slaters, Tyro Estrada, Wilmer Flores of the world. How are you feeling about Fried? Is he somewhere where you want to concentrate some of your portfolio?
Looking at our top pitchers tool, got about 18.5% chance of being a top 2 pitcher at 32% ownership. So he's right below Hunter Brown in terms of projected ownership. So even more negative leverage there. That does spook me. Almost 10K. I'm looking for probably 20 plus at any pitcher today. I'm a little bit on the fence about that. I think that ownership kind of spooks me. It certainly, if I did get to him, it wouldn't be at that level. Looking at his last couple outings for overall discipline numbers, 5% swinging strike rate against the Yankees, 11-12. So he has been sustained in a double-digit swinging strike rate, and we know the Giants can strike out with the best of them. I guess I would wait to see the lineup for sure, but I guess there is enough reward in this lineup, at least in this projected, where half of this lineup strikes out 25% or better against lefties. So I want to be there. I wish the field wasn't there so aggressively. I'll probably just undercut because the numbers are too good to pass up. Inversely, Junis usually gets piggybacked by Sean Manaea. So both matchups are just fine for anyone on the Braves. So we gotta like the Braves. They have a 5.5 implied run total. Looking at our top stack tool, that is a top 3 chance of being a top stack, optimal stack on the slate. So absolutely in on the Braves. When can we not play the Braves, especially when it's Junis and then Manaea, and that makes the stack even easier to get to. So give me Braves 1, Fried 2, maybe a pattern of Giants. Obviously, we can't really touch the pitchers from the Giants side here.
All right. We do have an update in the lineup. Michael Harris is out, has, I believe, sore foot. So Eddie Rosario is batting second with the revised lineup that just popped out. Now you've got Kevin Pillar is the replacement there. And then keep in mind, Ozzie Albies also on the injured list. So normally we're getting 2 waves of all-stars. Now we're just getting 1.5. Still a pretty impressive lineup here. The other thing going for Fried is Atlanta is 250 favorites to get the victory today.
Oh yeah. So Kevin Pillar's an interesting play because he certainly has extreme splits, and we know he can get to some lefties. So if we're baking in 1 or 2 at bats against Sean Manaea, that might make him a sneaky bottom of the barrel play if you need some salary.
It's not a bad way to go, especially when you would consider that Junis is, he's batting 7th, so there's a better chance he ends up getting more against Manaea than Junis. So, alrighty, let's continue on here. Reminder to everyone, we've got the Stochastic Avatar contest. So, or the opportunity to win 30 days of Stochastic Premium. All you got to do is go to stochastic.com/avatar, download the Stochastic Avatar, upload that to your DFS site of choice, finish first, second, or third. That's top 3. No 10-way ties for first, second, or third. And you will be able to tweet a screenshot showing your Stochastic Avatar to Stochastic HOF over there on Twitter. Or if you're someone that is not on Twitter, or X as they are calling it these days, you can email that to support@stochastic.com. We will use you as part of the marketing, and we'll get a shout out on the Stochastic Hall of Fame segment, and you'll get 30 days of Stochastic Premium. So that's a pretty good way to go. So check that out. It is a lot of fun. And then we are also sponsored by BetMGM. Today, you guys get the opportunity to get 30 more days of Stochastic Premium if you have not yet signed up via BetMGM. Come in on our link. I will drop that in the chat here in just a moment, and sign up via our link, or it's also in the YouTube description below us. And if you don't want to do that, use the promo code Platinum Sub, because that will get you 30 days of Stochastic Premium once you have created your account, made your first $10 wager. Once that settles, boom, they're going to give you a promo code that gets you 30 days of Stochastic Premium. The other nice thing that they have is your first wager is bet back insurance. It's a different way of saying it, but you get a second chance bet. If you lose your $10 wager, they're going to give you a $10 bet credit. You make that first wager $100. If you lose that, they're going to give you 5 $20 credits, so on, up to $1,000. That is only on your first bet. But a reminder, the standard age for gambling in most states is 21 or older. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Gun, moving on to game number 3. The Boston Red Sox against the New York Yankees. Josh Winkowski going against Clark Schmidt. We're looking at close to a 9.5, almost a 10 implied run total here. Going to be in the mid 80s today in New York. Light breeze in the 7 to 12 mile an hour range out to center field. Any interest at all in these pitchers?
So Winkowski is likely just an opener here. That'll probably open the door for Nick Pivetta, which at 8,200 on DraftKings. Nick Pivetta, kind of interesting for DraftKings. Obviously, it takes him out of the quality start bonus for FanDuel, so I wouldn't ever really think about it there. But if you look at his DraftKings output, it's not impossible for him to offer you 20-plus fantasy points. He's done that in 3 of his last 5 outings. So if he, if Winkowski can grab an inning for him and then he just scoops up 2 through 5, maybe scoops up a win, there's certainly a lineup that can strike out. And Nick Pivetta has been, 29% K rate on the season, 12% swinging strike rate. So it's not impossible. I think it is something that I would put in my back pocket for tournaments. Looking at he's not even in our top pitchers tool because I don't know if that's kind of like baked in. So maybe he's lesser owned because of that as well. So I do think Nick Pivetta is an interesting tournament play. Maybe still 20 points for DK. Clark Schmidt on the other side on the season, 1.36 whip, 22% K rate. Not really a lineup I attack for strikeouts anyway. There's only one lane here: Adam Duvall, Jarren Duran, Trevor Story, that really has elevated strikeout rates. Everybody else is pretty good at putting bat on ball, and they're pretty menacing hitters. So I'm not that enthralled with the idea of Clark Schmidt. Offensively, I think you put both these lineups in Yankee Stadium. Anything could happen. Looking at our top stacks tool, we've got Red Sox coming in with a 6% chance of being a top stack on a 4% aggregate ownership. So a little bit of positive leverage there. And the Yankees within 4% chance of being a top stack at 8% ownership. So negative leverage there, but it does come with a positive value score because of their troubles lately. Only Aaron Judge is going to cost you money and makes, I guess, Glaber to an extent. Otherwise, it's a pretty value lineup if you're thinking points per dollar and somebody that might steal one over the short board. So if we had to make that podium, I think we go Red Sox offense, Nick Pivetta, Yankees, and I'm not really getting there on Schmidt.
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't even, that's my bad. I should have stalled. I didn't even know you.
Oh, no. There was a pigeon sitting out getting ready to poop on the deck furniture.
That's a government spy device. We don't call them pigeons.
You and the conspiracy theories.
Hey, you started. That's my payback.
All right. Yeah, thanks for calling out there on the Nick Pivetta. It does look like he's going to be going, and we have seen him operate as with openers about every other starter. So here kind of depends, but this is a good one because all of the power and production with the remaining healthy Yankees is really concentrated in their top four. Would you have ever thought Jake Bauers would be your regular cleanup hitter at any point?
Next subject. We don't.
It's okay. Mike Stanton's not in the lineup. I mean, I'm sorry, Giancarlo. All right, let's move on to the next one here. A couple of lefties taking the mound here in Cleveland. We have Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Detroit Tigers. On the other side, you have Logan Allen. Rodriguez is someone who is always interesting. He's kind of it's not giving him enough credit to say he's matchup based, but this is a matchup where he should really be able to thrive. The back end of the Cleveland lineup is just it's an absolute mess. They've traded away a couple players. They're without Josh Naylor, etc. So this is really a watered down lineup. And what they've done is the people that are coming into the lineup, the players that are coming in, have a lot of strikeouts. Ramon Laureano off the scrap heap. He has always been good against lefties, but come on, the worst offense in the league just basically gave him his walking papers. He's batting cleanup today, 33% strikeout rate. You've got Gabriel Arias, who has about a 44% strikeout rate against lefties this season, just 89 at bats, but that's a wild number. Aside from Kwan and Ramirez up at the top, those are the only guys that really aren't doing a lot of getting a lot of strikeouts. And then the other thing is not a lot of walks in this lineup either. So everybody's swinging. How are you feeling about Rodriguez, who brings in a 25% strikeout rate this season, 28 to fellow lefties, 24% to righties?
Yeah, better than I used to. I feel like the last couple seasons, the Guardians have been one of those teams that they don't hit for any power, but I don't want to pick on them because they don't strike out. But yeah, the narrative is starting to change. Like you said, a lot of changes in that lineup, and now it's Jose Ramirez and the Sunshine Gang. Good luck. I think 10.4K is a little pricey for Erod, but the matchup is the matchup, and spin the wheel, make a deal. 20 plus fantasy points absolutely there for the taking. Looking at our top pitchers tool, we've got Erod with a 15% chance to be the top two optimal pitcher on DraftKings at 9% ownership. So 5% is one of the top two positive leverage scores on the slate. Actually, the number one is actually Nick Pivetta, so he is in our tool there. So plenty of positive leverage to be had with some Erod ownership. I think the price is keeping people back. You're just not used to paying that for Erod. But, yeah, the matchup makes a lot of sense. I'm definitely. I feel like I'm more into Erod here than the inverse side here. Even though Logan Allen does also have a 22% K rate, it's coming with a little bit more baggage, an 8.2% barrel rate, elevated WHIP, elevated expected ERA against the Tigers lineup that in today's confirmed lineup doesn't have a ton of high strikeouts in that lineup against the lefty. Riley Green, Jake Rogers, and Zach Short, the only hitters in today's lineup since the beginning of last year, striking out over 22% against lefty. So give me Erod over Allen. And I think because of that, you might sell me on some Tiger shares. Our ownership on the Tigers today is pretty low, 4% total ownership, a little bit above our top stack odds. So I'm in on that. So if I had to start the podium off, I think we're going Erod 1, Tigers 2. Man, flip a coin on Guardians, Logan Allen. I don't think I'm touching the Guardians today. I'm not even a Substack, man. Let J-Ram falls where he will. And then Logan Allen right now is on the outside looking in. Do you have any interest in playing Logan Allen today?
I do. I figure he's going to be on about 20% of my DraftKings lineups.
20%?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that shakes out. I will be I better be putting together my exposures and stuff here as the show's going on, since I do want a lot of Hunter Brown in that 105 game. The players I'd like to take against him, and I think this is a good point, is Spencer Torkelson. Remember, he was the first pick overall in the 2020 draft. He is actually starting to put everything together. Jake Rogers is decent when he has the platoon advantage, small sample size, but he's still an intriguing option there. So I think you can put together 2 or 3 hitters against Logan Allen here, and I think it's reasonable. Logan Allen, it always blows my mind. He's a rookie. This will be his 19th start today. It just feels like he's been in the league for a while, because there, of course, was
the other Logan Allen,
the other Logan Allen, who I don't think he ever made it to the show, but at one point,
no, he did, because it messed up my spreadsheet pools, man. So
Okay.
it really every 5 days when I import it, it's like and I gotta fix it.
Yes, so there we go. Logan Allen, goodness gravy. All right, so interesting. I thought you'd be a little higher.
I mean, I feel like without looking, you tell me a pitcher with a 23% K rate against the Detroit Tigers, I would be, but man, I don't know. I'm looking at this Tigers lineup. I'm not running the stacked Tigers, but I'm a little bit trepidatious on what I might expect.
So that's a good call out. And I started looking to see where they were. So they've had the second fewest runs scored on the season. Mm-hmm. However, over the last 2 weeks, they actually have the 13th most runs in the league, and over the last 30 days, they're 20th. So they are improving. They're not as dreadful as they were at the beginning of the season, when they were literally epically bad, like to the point of a full standard deviation worse than everybody else, particularly against righties. But their lineup's changing. Torkelson's finally putting it all together, all the tools. It's looking a little better. They're not quite a cupcake matchup anymore, but it's still the Motor City Kitties. Come on.
Yeah, it's one of those I wouldn't point and laugh. I'm just, how often am I going to break 20 plus with authority? He is grabbing ownership, so it's not. Whenever I'm not near a pitcher that's at 20% ownership, I'm like, am I doing something wrong? But I guess I also need to find some lanes to zig and be different, especially when I'm, on some of the more trendier guys like Hunter Brown or like some of these stacks. So I think I'm gonna let the field have them and hope for the best, aim for the bushes. But I get it. Like, it's the Tigers.
All right. Shout out to News got in there. I see him in chat. He's always doing a lot of hard work, bringing us the news, the starting lineups, the confirmed lineups, injury updates, etc. And we got Mike, producer Mike, in there under Yokasik. He says, "You're to you," and he says, "EMac and Gun 2024, the Turnbuckle Party." We would make one heck of a tag team. You would do all the wrestling, and then I would come in for my patented self-inflicted turnbuckle smash, or my head goes off the turnbuckle, and I don't get tagged in. I just get knocked out all by myself. That's my finishing move for that. I'll leave the wrestling to you, God. All righty, let's continue on for our next game. We've got the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Reds in Cincinnati, the Homer Haven that is known as Great American Ballpark. We do have Bo Bichette back from the injured list. He is batting second. We also have Hunter Green back. He has been out for quite some time. He is making his return for Cincinnati. He did make, I don't have it in front of me, but he made at least 3 rehabilitation starts, and I think he even got up to 80 pitches. So I would expect something around 80 pitches today would be fine. $9,000 is a rough price tag for that, but we know he's going to go in there and get strikeouts. Does he finish the 5th inning? That's a coin flip, but we should at least have the opportunity for a half a dozen strikeouts from him. How are you reading this one? Because we've got a 10 implied run total here.
Yeah, so it looks like we've got 4 appearances in the minors for Green since August 1st, every 5 days. So that's a good sign if we're worried about stretchiness. We're still kind of dabbling with the unknown because we don't know for sure, but he did break 5 innings his last outing, and it's not like it's a premier offense that he gets to pitch against, and it's still Great American Ballpark. So we're dealing with a lot of variables, and usually when that happens, when it's a good talent, uncertain spot against a team that I respect, then I just let the math do the talking. So we're looking at his projected ownership. Hunter Green's at 21%. Oh no, that's the stack. Hold on. We're looking at Hunter Green at 21% chance of being a top 2 pitcher at 21% ownership. So he's appropriately owned based on our tools. So at that point, like if I match the field, I match the field. I don't feel like it's a spot where I'm feeling a sense of urgency to make a drastic decision, but it's certainly a spot where I feel like I'm going to have both sides because of the ballpark, if nothing else. You mentioned run totals being pretty high, and some talent coming back into the top of that. So I think I'm just going to play both sides of that, a little bit of Hunter Green, a little bit of the Blue Jays offense. Speaking of the Blue Jays offense, we do have the Blue Jays offense as a 7.5% chance of being a top stack on the slate. So that's right in the top 5, about 1% behind the teams like the Mets and the Braves. So this ballpark makes great things happen. And this is certainly a team that it feels like a sleeping beast, right? Blue Jays on the season, 104 WRC plus against righties. This stadium can extract a lot of goodness. And we've seen Hunter Green have some days where his fastball just ain't moving enough to avoid bats. So 1.6 home run per 9 this season against righties, 1.9 last year against righties. Plenty of powerful righties in this lineup. So I'm in on that. Inversely, Hunyin Ryu, I'm probably not going to dabble with him. 14% K rating. It's a Reds team that just kind of respect, and especially guys like Ellie De La Cruz, who I know there's this his BABIP is ridiculous narrative. Which is not a narrative. It's true. His BABIP is ridiculous, unsustainable. And then a play like yesterday happens where he has a little league home run, and I'm just like, that'll make the nerds happy. So give me Blue Jays offense, Reds offense, then Hunter Green, and I don't play Ryu.
Yeah, Ryu's kind of tough. Granted, he's only coming back from Tommy John. He's made 3 starts this year. He has, I think it was Tommy John. He has just six strikeouts in 14 innings or 8 in 14 innings. I forget what it is, but it was pretty low. So it's kind of hard to go to him in this matchup. All right, so let's continue moving along because it is Dallas Keuchel Day. I thought Dallas Keuchel was going to be out of our lives. No, he's back. So all of a sudden, the Pittsburgh Pirates are looking rather appealing today, which is something I didn't think I would say because I usually spend most of my time talking about how the back half of their lineup has about 300 combined big league plate appearances. I don't care today. I'm happily going to them, especially with Ke'Bryan Hayes. I like him for a home run this afternoon. I think that is a good spot. Why are we picking on Dallas Keuchel? Well, he was a Cy Young winner in another simulation. But did you know this year he has made 2 starts? He has thrown 123 pitches, 7 swinging strikes. That's it. Gun, nobody's missing. Nobody's missing.
How many total strikeouts there, Matt?
Like 0, probably.
0% K rate is just incredible. But I mean, it's funny. It's not like the last couple of years I've been playing Dallas Keuchel, period, much less 4 strikeouts. So it's not that stunning, but yeah, at the major league level to be at a 0%, it's pretty incredible. And unlike a guy like Zach Greinke, like I don't know, this is still a lineup that I do fear if you're going to allow him to put the ball in play. We got Reynolds, you mentioned, Connor Joe, Andy Rodriguez, and these are guys that don't have like blow you away numbers, but 9% or better barrel percentage against a guy that's not gonna miss the bat. Is something that I'm interested in. He only has a 3.2% barrel rate so far in those funny numbers, but the last 2 seasons he sustained an 8 to 9% barrel rate. So yeah, I'm with you. It's a good spot for a team like the Pirates to put the ball in play. 4.6 run total, so maybe a little bit of respect based on, leading in the story with those metrics. Looking at our tools for the Pirates, got them a 7.2% chance of being a top stack, 10% ownership. So a little bit of negative leverage based on those numbers. But it's hard to not look at a couple of these guys, especially like Brian Hayes, Andrew McCutchen, guys that have sustained elevated ISOs and barrel rates against a lefty, especially a contact lefty like Keuchel today. Keuchel does have a 60% ground ball rate so far this season against righties. So maybe that's, going to play spoiler to those contact stats, but I don't think I'm sitting out Pirates today. I don't know that I'll be at 10% though.
That is creeping up there, but I'm getting where's the ownership concentrated? Is it Hayes and McCutchen? Are they kind of putting their thumb on the scale for that stack?
Pittsburgh, yeah, we got Hayes, Peguero is at 11%, McCutchen's at 10%, Connor Joe at 10%. So 4 guys at 10% or better. Then Andy Rodriguez is just at basically 10%. So it's not as top loaded as you might think.
Okay, I think they are one. I wrote them up as one of the top stacks, mostly just from a point per dollar. This is a great spot, and I said, they're gonna the way their positions eligibility works out, they dovetail nicely with the Atlanta Braves. So that's one way you can get a Brave stack together.
And then the Braves give us Kevin Pillar.
We've got Kevin Pillar, we've got Eddie Rosario, we got the number 2 hole is cursed right now for the Braves.
On the inverse side though, we got former Blue Jays great Ryan Borucki. Looks like he's gonna open things and then hand it over to Osvaldo Bido.
Okay.
So both those pitchers are really not anybody I'm interested in, and then kind of opens a little bit of Twins interest, probably Substack interest. Luplo is probably just there for the lefty. Probably, I would say. I don't know if they're gonna swap him out there, but the leadoff spot to get that guaranteed at bat against the lefty seems a little premeditated. So I probably just get to a Substack of the Twins.
It almost feels, God, they're gonna pinch hit. They have to pinch hit Luplo.
Yeah, right? He's not a leadoff hitter. He's specifically the lefty matcher. So it just feels like an hired assassin to take on a lefty and then swap him out. It's
probably worth Xing him out of the player pool, I think, because you're going all or not. Congratulations on your leadoff home run today.
Yeah, right. When you walked that tightrope.
Now that that's in existence. Yeah, great. It feels because obviously Byron Buxton is hurt, but they still have Gallo. They still got other folks that can come in. Kepler. This isn't going to be.
That's kind of my assumption. There would be Gallo tags in, and then when they bring in Bido, but that's just guessing.
What? Here's one for you. What do you think Joey Gallo's career batting average is?
Oh, okay. I thought we were gonna come up with some Yankee slander spin. Career batting average?
Yeah,
I would probably say like 180, 190.
Oh, not bad. 198.
Okay.
This year is 185, which is the best he has had since that ill-fated trade that took him to the Yankees.
Ezekiel Duran, man. Every time I see Ezekiel Duran do good, I'm just like, fudge. That's such a but the thing is, like, of all the trades that people have like reverse engineered, everyone was excited for that one, so we can't.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, getting him into Yankee Stadium was like, oh, this is going to be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
it's just it was whenever he connected. He just doesn't connect ever anymore. Stephen Leibowitz dropped in the chat here that Keuchel's K prop is 3.5 on DK. Did you run your model today?
I mean, I'm looking at just math here. I mean, 3.5, like that.
That means he's got to get 4.
Right?
Do you think he can get 4?
I mean, so here's the thing: is like that's not even a line that I would feel comfortable with from old Keuchel. You know, last year Keuchel, the year before. Right. It's not like Keuchel's coming from being the strikeout artist Cy Young. He was just always a ground ball dominator. I mean, that's really low for a guy who's not missing bats right now. So unless I don't know, is Angel Hernandez the ump here? I don't.
Otherwise, I think I take the under on that one. It feels appropriate. All right, 3 to go here. We got about 30 minutes until first pitch. Let's go on here to the Mets and Cardinals. Carlos Carrasco going against Dakota Hudson. This game has a 10.5 implied run total here. It's going to be 95 degrees. We've got a light breeze, which they're going to need it. 6 to 12 miles an hour out to left center. I think this is a spot where you don't want either pitcher. Do you have any nice things to say about either pitcher? Other than Carrasco is.
I was going to say inspirational story by Carlos Carrasco. Yeah. Probably a great guy. Never heard anything bad about him.
I got nothing DFS wise, and load up the offenses here. Load up the offenses. What do you think here? Which offense would you prefer in this one?
See, that's a good one. It is really hot out there in St. Louis. Both, I mean, we got a 10 plus 10.5 game total. So this is what you want. Comparing, I probably lean more towards the Cardinals here if I had to pick between one or the other, which unfortunately is basically what all the tools are leaning towards. Cards at last glance had their top stack percentage, 8.9%, about 9.5% ownership share. So second to the Pirates in ownership share with a stack score of 9.6, and that is the highest on our slate by a pretty significant margin. Behind them is the Mets, and I think the total has a lot to do with that. So I lean towards the Cardinals as my top of the podium from this one. Obviously, Mets are in there as well. Looking at the bomb detector against Cookie. Cookie has certainly served up some homers to righties, 1.91 homer per nine so far to righties. So this good news for Goldie, Arenado. Man, this is quite the lane here. Goldie, Arenado, Contreras, Jordan Walker. She's no days off in that one. That's a 142, 141, 123, 117 WRC plus since the beginning of last year against righties. I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah, this just feels like this could be the game that breaks the slate.
Yeah, but the thing with that is like that's the expectation here, especially with ownership projections and the tools, right? So looking at the Mets has 7.5% ownership share, Cardinals 9.5%. So like I said, only the Pirates trump the Cardinals here. Then we dip into Toronto, Minnesota, Yankees. So the Mets actually are not in the top 5 in ownership. So we're splitting hairs here. So maybe the Mets are the sneakier side of this slate when it comes to actually breaking the slate. And they certainly have a longer list of positive WRC plus guys. Dakota Hudson certainly is not somebody we're fearing. So maybe they're the more lucrative side for tournaments. Looking at our specific ownerships on this game, Tommy Edman, Wilson Contreras, Burleson. It looks like the top 3 ownerships from this game are on the Cardinal side, and then it's Frankie Lindor, Nimmo, McNeil, and then it's about pretty split. So yeah, I definitely think if it doesn't break the slate, it's probably going to decide the slate one way or the other, whether it be good or bad.
And in looking at it, it just we want to remember that Dakota Hudson I was looking at his ground ball rate. This year it's 51%. Last year it was 54%. That's that's the one thing that can mess things up is if we get, he can get saved by double plays. And that is just kind of a wipeout for your stacks, because all of a sudden you got, runners on first and second, one out, double play. And I'm looking at you, Dan Vogelbach, because you're the guy that's going to do it. Let's see here. All right. So I'm still strong on both these, but I think ultimately the Cardinals are going to be where I want to go, but the Cardinals are running out of Sunday lineup.
I mean, are they though?
Have you heard of the last three players? Lucan Baker, Richie Palacios, and Mason Wynn?
I have definitely heard of Mason Wynn because of the other night. Yeah.
Alec Burleson is batting second.
Did you see the Mason Wynn?
I did not.
All right, so the kid got his first hit. Pete Alonso fields the ball.
Oh, he threw the ball. That was. I didn't see that. I didn't realize that was who. I saw that he was like, he's like, oh, I felt like a piece of crap or whatever his quote was, but I didn't realize that was Wynn.
I thought it was great. To me, it would have been even more legendary if you'd have been like, yeah, I did it on purpose because that fan looked like he could use an autograph bat and money or whatever. But I mean, Mason Wynn coming from the minors, 288 batting average this year, 833 OPS, 17 stolen bases, 18 homers. He's not nobody, and if we put him against league average at best pitching in the 9 spot where you don't really have pressure on you, I don't think it's as watered down. Baker and Richie Palacios, yeah, whatever, but I don't know, EMac. I don't think it's that rough.
All right, looks like we just got the San Francisco lineup, so let me go see what it is. So we've got Slater, Tyro Estrada, Wilmer Flores, Pat Bailey, JD Davis, Helio Ramos, Luis Matos is in, and I had marked him as out. So he got called up from the minors. Brendan Crawford went on the injured list. Johan Camargo. Is this a Remember Me game?
Stop it. Stop what you're doing. Stop this.
He's familiar with the hitting environment? Oh no, they changed. Did he ever play in SunTrust or Truist Park, whatever they call it now? I don't think so. Anyway, neither here nor there. You know what is here? Super chat from Joe K.
Let's go.
So Joe says, I do one lineup for cash and for single entry on DraftKings. Normally, do you get different at pitcher or play it safe in cash and look to or play it safe and look to the hitters to get a little bit different? If slate specific, what would you do for this slate? Yes, it is almost always going to be slate specific. Now, you can do things a variety of ways. I tend to choose the 2 pitchers I feel strongest about, and then I look to go wherever I need to go. And so I kind of play for baseball. I play my cash lineup is like the best lineup I'm going to put out there, right? The best median projection, but I have no issues putting it into tournaments. And also, usually I'll end up with a 3-man stack. I don't try to make a stack, but usually you're going to get enough players against a bad pitcher that you may not have the perfect adjacent lineup spot correlations, but you will have at least 3 guys or 4 guys in the same boat. So today, I think I would want to go with Max. These are going to be popular plays probably, but I would probably go for Max Scherzer, and then I would probably go with Hunter Brown as well. Now, those are 2 of the 4 most popular pitchers. So if you're going to look a little bit different with those guys, let's see what pops up here. So I would say I would probably go with a couple Pittsburgh guys. I would probably do like 2 3-man stacks. I would go with like 3 Pittsburgh righties, and then I'd probably roll the dice with Tommy Edman and Alec Burleson. Those would be the guys I would make. Now, when you're doing single entry, there's a lot of different ways you can approach this. You can look at it and say, okay, I'm going to go with a massive stack and just to borrow a baseball phrase, swinging for the fences gun. And you're just going to go just take it all because people tend to put their cash game lineups in there. Or in baseball, I think it's sustainable to build out a reasonable lineup, have a little bit of synergy in it, a little bit more than even your cash games, and still get enough min cash, but have a top 10 equity opportunity throughout the season that you're going to 5X, every other week or 5X or better. So in that situation for DraftKings, I usually build on pitchers, find a couple cheapies, and I don't mind going with the cheap one-off to make it all work. Not Luplow today, batting 2,500 or batting leadoff 2,500 with his over-under is 1.5 plate appearances, and we're probably looking at the under. But look for someone who's cheap, and especially on Sundays, you can find a backup catcher that's in there. You can find a fifth outfielder that gets in the mix, a utility infielder. It's not hard to find somebody cheap. And I'm willing to punt just to get everything else to fit. Hopefully this is helpful for you. This is something that will carry you throughout the go forward. But I would say Scherzer, Brown, couple guys at the top of the Cardinals lineup, a couple guys at the top of the Pittsburgh lineup. And then you can always, who's your favorite hitter? Look, go for the Ronald Acuna type if you have enough money left. Those would be the routes I would go. Anything you want to add on to that?
No. I think that's. I do want to add on to these likes, though, EMac.
Oh, no.
We got 600 of the coolest cats in all of the land hanging out. We all know in baseball, a 200 ISO is respectable. That's what you want. The likes represent our chat's isolated power. If you're not at 200, what are you doing? Get your weight up. Come on, chat. Come on, chat.
Yeah, what he said. Where are we at with the likes?
We're barely at 100.
Well, we got 15, 20 minutes left. Don't make me I can do ads for 15 or 20 minutes.
He will pull his car over. I've seen him do it.
It's not going to be a problem. So, reminder, we're going to talk about the lineup generator here in a moment, but we're sponsored by BetMGM. Look right above me there. Click on the link that's below us here in the YouTube description. Come in through our link, and you will get 30 days of Stochastic Premium once you make your first wager. If you come in through our link, and your first wager also gets a bet back up to $1,000. That's a second chance bet if it loses. So that's not too shabby. You also get the the Stochastic Avatar promotion. That's a fun one that's out there. Well, I can keep going. That's just a taste. So get those likes up, or we're gonna have a new record for number of ads I do on the show. Back to our game. Let's see. Looping us back to the Mets and Cardinals. You want to just re-summarize that, and then we'll continue on our final two.
Yeah, it's bats only for me here. Pre-flop podium, Cardinals 1, Mets 2, but Mets have access to some positive environment, positive run total here, and their lineup is still pretty chock full with a lot of high OPS, a lot of decent WRC plus via splits, especially 1 through 6. So Mets are the more slept on side of this potential lucrative game. Cardinals, not really a secret, but we all see why that they are pretty popular. So offenses for me only. I don't really have any interest in either pitcher.
All righty, let's continue on. We've got another amazing offensive opportunity here. This would be for the Chicago Cubs going against Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles and Patrick Corbin have been going back and forth over their last few starts to see who has allowed the most home runs in the league over the last 3 years. We do have, I believe, I can't remember who's in they literally keep trading it like every start. So it doesn't matter who has it, but we're going to want to attack Lyles. On the other side, you have Kyle Hendricks. I was on a show with Greg. I mentioned how good Hendricks was and how he gave up so few home runs, yada, yada, yada. And then he gave up 4 home runs that day. He gave up like 2% of his career home runs in that run start. I can never get him right. What do you want to do with Kyle Hendricks? Because 7,900 looks like a good price for an SP2 on DK.
Yeah, the last couple of years, for me, my theory on why Hendricks doesn't give up a ton of homers is because he doesn't generate a ton of velocity to scientifically bounce back, right? When your fastball is 87 and your changeup's 80, like it's a little easier for these major league hitters to turn around on 95, if that makes sense. So I'm with you though. Generally, I don't expect him to give up a ton of power or at least a ton of homers just based on that. But this year, 1.43 homer per 9 against righties. We have seen him give it up to lefties in the last 2 seasons, so it's not impossible, but certainly certainly not somebody that I've baked it in as part of his profile to allow power today. The Royals have just a 3.8 run total against this 16% strikeout rate guy, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. Looking at our top stack tool, the Royals are sitting at about 3.5% chance of being the top stack. That's less than their projected ownership, so a little bit of negative ownership. But anytime you put a team against a contact pitcher that is sub 5% in ownership, I'm a little bit interested. Looking at who I would play from the Royals, probably just sticking around 1 through 4. Maybe a wild Nelson Velasquez makes the lineup. 19.5% barrel rate for him so far. So I don't want to play Hendricks just because he's not really a massive strikeout guy typically. So give me some of the Royals offense. And then inversely, the Cubs here, 5.5 implied run total. You mentioned the reasons why Jordan Lyles doesn't have ridiculous left field to hide him today. We don't have to worry about wind, but we still have to worry about Lyles just not missing bats here. Cubs have big numbers in our top stack tool. I believe we have them as a number 2 to just the Cardinals. And when I say number 2, it's literally by 0.1% of being the top stack on the slate. So they're right there in the conversation. Ownership wise, they're not quite as elevated. Matter of fact, they come in 6th in aggregate ownership. That's behind teams like the Yankees, the Twins, the Blue Jays, the Cardinals, and Pirates. So a little bit of opportunity there based on the matchup. So I do think the Cubs make a lot of sense. We talked about single entry game theory earlier with that super chat. The Cubs seem like the perfect team to slide by there with such high metrics, such high run totals, and not being top 5 in ownership. So that might be a single entry strategy for me, is to kind of build around what they might bring to the table. Leading the bomb detector for me is Cody Bellinger. No surprise there. We got a 2+ homer per 9 to lefties from Lyles this season, 1.75 or better the last 2 seasons. So Belly, if you can neutralize the strikeouts, and he hasn't even had a huge strikeout problem anyway, it's a good spot for him. So give me the Cubs as the top of the podium. ... Royals in the mix. I really don't think I'm even considering activating either pitcher in the player pool.
Yeah, I just went through and did my caps, and I'm keeping these guys at I'm not even playing Jordan Lyles, but I'm keeping Hendricks at 10%.
Yeah.
It's
I wouldn't be stunned if Hendricks against this lineup, like I said, 3.8 run total for the Royals is kind of crazy. I would be stunned if he stole, a high teens, maybe even 20 fantasy points, but it's just not something I don't like to play bad pitchers. I just don't. So I don't want to. But I wouldn't be shocked if he walked away with almost 20 fantasy points just based on the matchup.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he needs the win. He's got to get the win, or it doesn't matter.
And he's a minus 200 favorite, 214. So
they are. Yep,
minus there.
15. All right, final game of the slate. Another good pitcher here, Max Scherzer, going against Milwaukee. Milwaukee has Rowdy Tellez back, so that helps him out just a little bit there. But Scherzer is still just dominant, even though he is 39. Scherzer has been outstanding since putting on a Rangers uniform. In his 3 starts, he has a 1.8 ERA, a 0.8 WHIP, 26 strikeouts in 20 innings. He's going to try to help the Rangers avoid the sweep because Milwaukee has somehow won the first 2 games of this series. Milwaukee 10-7 in August, and they are trying to hold off the Cubs and the Reds for the National League Central, because if either one of those teams catch them, I don't think Milwaukee's going to make the playoffs, because there's a whole scrum, including those 2 teams, for the wild card plus 3 other teams. So they really need to hang on to this one. But I really like Scherzer today. He's my top pitcher. What do you think about Scherzer? Do you want to take anyone against him? Doing a little home run hunting? What do you got here for this last game?
I think it makes sense for Scherzer to kind of be the consensus number 1 pitcher play on the slate. We have him at 4th in ownership, actually, to behind Hunter Green, Max Fried, and Hunter Brown, shot up to 34%. So a little bit interesting there. So if we're talking about great plays, great projections, Scherzer in a Cub stack and single entry sounds a little fun if we can mix him with a little less ownership elsewhere. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I have him as my top actual points pitcher, and that's really what I care about when building DFS lineups. I don't really care about value out of my pitchers. Give me 20, 25, 30 fantasy points. I usually don't feel like 15 fantasy points from my SB2 really shakes a lot. It is slate dependent, so that's not rule of thumb for every slate, but yeah, I think it's a good spot. This lineup has just Mark Canha, Carlos Santana with a sub 20% K rate. There's not a ton of 1 and 4 strikeout rates in this Brewers lineup today against righties, but Max Scherzer is one of those guys that he gets the benefit of the doubt just because he can go above and beyond with his great strikeout stuff. So I'm with you on that. Weaknesses for Scherzer has been power to lefties. He's got a 4.61 xFIP to lefties so far this season, and the Brewers are throwing out a decent amount of guys in the left batter's box. Just Tyrone Taylor, Monasterio, Willie Adames, and Mark Canha in the are batting righty today. So he will have to overcome that hiccup in his game, and he only has a 24% K rate against lefties this season as well. So it's certainly a path for him to not be as dominant or as nutty. So you got to play with that. If I wanted to pick one of these random lefties to homer off of them, thinking Rowdy Tellez or Christian Yelich would be the one of the two names I'd lean on. Inversely, somebody had just asked about Adrian Hauser being a good single entry play. I said no. I don't think he's a good play in the period. I honestly can't remember ever playing Hauser, but that goes back to I just hate playing bad pitchers that really don't get strikeouts. You could game log hunt a lot of these guys that steal a 20-point game, but usually I have to prioritize strikeouts, and it's just not something that I expect from Hauser. 18% K rate on the season, 7% swing and strike rate. For me, I'm looking for double-digit swing and strike rates. I need the ability to erase some of the earnings, but he is a ground ball pitcher, especially to righties. 54% ground ball rate so far this season. Rangers also throwing out quite a few lefties, so we can lean on those lefty splits as well. And Hauser so far this season, 1.43 home run per 9 to lefties, 20% K rate, and just a 38% ground ball rate. So pretty notable splits here that we can kind of like Rangers lefties, have a little bit of hesitation on a Scherzer ceiling game, but I'm still going to be there on both, just not super dramatically.
All right, who is what do you got for home runs for us today?
Top of the bomb detector is Aaron Judge. Pass.
Is that hard coded in?
It is. I'm telling you, man, he breaks all the metrics. Number 2 is actually in this game, Corey Seager. He's batting second today. We talked about Hauser's lefty splits. Seager's been great, almost a 900 OPS against righties since the beginning of last year. 19.5% barrel rate. That's really what you like. And then just taking a glance at the pitch report, Hauser throws fastball, slider, curveball, changeup, and those are super positive grades for Seager. So I'll say Corey Seager if we take out the bias hat is my homer call here.
All right, I'm going to go with Ke'Bryan Hayes is where I'm at on this one. A little bit longer odds, but he does have some. If you go over to Odd Shopper, you can look at the true odds. He actually rates out relatively well in this environment. Any team you are afraid that you will not have enough of.
Ooh,
which team scares you?
That I would not have enough of.
The Mariners, maybe.
Mariners are interesting, but they're not going to be super owned anyway. I will have some. I always stack against the highest owned pitchers when they get over 30%, so I just have that baked in. Man, the Royals are at 5%. That's probably higher than I expect to be at. I'm not really that. The Yankees. There's the answer. The Yankees. They're at 8% projected ownership. I'm just about tapped out on them. And it would be my luck if the day I undercut the Yankees to like 3%, they explode and I don't get to celebrate a GPP win because I'm not a homer.
So how are you feeling about the Tigers? Because they did not come up at all in my stacks. I had to just go hard code a few or lock button a few of them to make a stack.
Yeah, so there are some teams in the bottom of our stack tool that I like, and I also like the low ownership on them. Tigers are one of them. The Reds are down there as well. Reds have a projected ownership share of 2%. No one's playing Hunyin Ryu, right? Like no one's touching him. Why is the team against him in the best hitters park in baseball, at least home run park in baseball? Why is that at 2%? So I think that's an incredible spot for me that I'm just going to be crazy with. And then, yeah, I do like the thought of the Tigers in that spot as well, especially with Allen coming in at 20%. So I don't have to get too crazy, and I'll have a little bit of leverage on the field just if Allen implodes.
All right, the Allen imploding is making me nervous. I'm so that's the one that's getting me. All right, let me upload my lineups here, and then we will look at the lineup generator. So the lineup generator is a tool that we have here at Stokastic that has been created and put at a very favorable price point because we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to go against the big dogs out there. So let's see. I went with the simulator. Let me go back. I gotta get to the lineup generator. There we go. So let me share my screen here. We've got go to present, share screen, pick the lineup generator. There we go. So let me make sure I add it to our thing because I can't talk about it if it's not on the screen. So the lineup generator is set up to handle the main slates at this time. It is a resource intensive tool, so it just is going to be with the main slates. But what it does is it incorporates all of the things that the rest of our tools do: top stacks, top pitchers, the lineup simulator, correlation, leverage, looking for expected value, trying to weed out all of those bad lineups that just tend to have you paying the rake. And it has been rather successful in doing exactly that. So let me get back over to the page here, and we will show you how easy it is to work. So let's do FanDuel. So we'll go to FanDuel. We're going to say all stack types. You can choose between FanDuel 4-4-4-3 and 4-2-2. On DraftKings, you can go 5-0, 5-3, or 4-4. We can do chalky lineups, balanced lineups, contrarian lineups. Let's see what happens when we do chalky lineups. So you can also pick one pitcher to lock in, and you can pick one hitter to lock in. Let's lock in Ronald Acuna and have some fun with this one and see if it's going to. That will force it to give us some Braves action there. So we allowed different stack types. So he's there as a one-off, but you can see we have a 4-man St. Louis stack and a 3-man Pirate stack. Remember, I said I like the Pirates because they enable us to get a lot of other options out there. So that's a fun one. Let's keep that one. We hit save and we keep it. We run this next one. Oh, we don't want Brandon Belt. Why in the world would we ever pitch him or play him? Let's discard that. And it brings you up a new lineup. You want to change things up a little bit. You like Hunter or everything but Hunter Brown in this one. You could come in here and you can replace him. Doing some quick math. We've gotten, we could put in Eduardo Rodriguez. Look at that. Boom. Now he's in there. We can save that lineup. So we can build out up to 20 lineups. Once you've built out a bunch of lineups, you can go look at your player exposure as well as your stack exposure. Now, remember, this is adding up to more than 100 because we allowed different types of stacks in there. So it is counting each one. Anything that is 3 or more players counts as a stack. But you can come in and say, oh, I like these lineups. I don't like these lineups. You can go in and you can change things around. You say, oh, I went with Eduardo or Rodriguez, but I'd rather have Hunter Brown in that lineup. Boom, we can swap him back out. Export this to CSV, and then we can build more lineups if you want to build more than 20. This is a lot of fun to play around with this product. And even for those of you that are only playing a few dollars a day, this is a good deal. You get promo code SCORE, gets you 50% off your first week, and then it's $8.95 after that. So it's about $1.50 a day, not even quite that, to play to get this. So if you're in the interest of time, you want to get some good lineups out there, you got a pitcher you like, you don't know what hitters you want to put with them, this is a good way to build out lineups. And we're constantly seeing people at the top of tournaments because they're tweeting us with that Stokastic HOF, the Stokastic Hall of Fame avatar promo. They're coming in and they're giving props to the lineup generator because it has been a successful product. So I want to put that out there for everybody to look at. Gun, we are just about at lock. Any final thoughts on today's slate?
No, everybody on the West Coast, man, y'all be safe out there. It's gonna get crazy. It's gonna get
All right.
wet.
It's going to get wet. I was reading some of the articles that said they could get almost a year's worth of rain in one day.
You know what's crazy? I had an offer to go to San Diego this weekend, at the beginning of last week, and for one reason or another, I was like, nah, I can't swing that. I got stuff coming up. Man, would have been my luck for the first time in my life I go to Cali and it's the weekend that they get a hurricane. Jesus.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy. All righty, we're going to get on out of here, though. You guys can follow Gun over on Twitter at Gundacker. You can find me at EMac DFS. It is stochastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.